Obtains sufficient evidence to indict and arrest. That's the FBI's own written objective for an undercover operation aimed at Congressman Eric Swalwell. Page 63 of the declassified file. And on that same page, in the Bureau's own hand, the answer not met. Same page. Ask and answer. And we're going to pull it up. It was March 17th, 2014. That's the day the FBI opened a public corruption assessment naming a sitting congressman. 14 months later, they escalated to an undercover operation with the code name Freshman 15. 3 stated objectives, and here's why you need to see the paper and not somebody's summary of it. I want to put page 63 on screen and read the highlighted line myself. Then page 79, where the Bureau splits Swalwell from Christine Fang Fang. And page 93, 2 very different sentences. We're going to be diving deep into Eric Swalwell's misdeeds, but the next bulletin never made the mainstream chyron. Open enrollment paperwork is moving again across the country, and millions of seniors overpaying for Medicare are about to renew plans that no longer fit them. Big insurance runs on that confusion, patriots. The mailers, the robocalls, the fine print, nobody finishes. Now the part they cut for your time. Yes, there's a newsroom for your Medicare. It's called Chapter. Independent Medicare advisors, the only advisors comparing every plan nationwide, not one carrier's slice of the market, all of it. Chapter reviews your doctor's prescriptions and reports back the truth. Already covered, right? Well, they'll confirm if you're already on the best plan on the record. If you're not, they'll help you switch plans. One call under 20 minutes and it costs you nothing. 910-728-4109. That's the number you see on your screen right there. Objective stated, objective met. And that's the story. Now, page 6, DOJ Point of Contact 2014, Chief Jack Smith. That's the line, that's all the line says. So that's all I'll say about it. But the pages that matter are objectives pages. And the answer is right next to it, and they don't need anybody's help. Let's go ahead and bring it all in for you now. These are the declassified records we've been poring over. These are the exclusive documents. White House release FBI 56D SF 4662117 packet page 1 opening. LHM shows the Bureau opened a case titled Congressman Eric Swalwell, Corruption of Federal Public Officials, Legislative Branch, flagged as a sensitive investigative matter, routed to the Public Corruption Unit. Now, of course, opening a case is not a finding of guilt, but these are the documents right here, page by page. Page 63 is the one that matters, the recommendation to indict Swalwell, and it never happened. White House release, same file. Later, full investigation into Swalwell's potential involvement in a scheme to collect illegal campaign contributions in exchange for official actions. FBI alleges Fang, Christine Fang Fang, was the facilitator, and no charges were in fact cited. The Freshman 15 is the interim authority. That's the name. Maybe we'll pull it up so you can see the full document a little bit better here. Let's go ahead and show you that. So, we'll bring it in a little closer. There it is, Freshman 15. You can see it. On 3/17/2014, FBI SF, Special SF, opened an assessment, subsequently converted to a full investigation concerning Swalwell, who was elected to represent 15th California District and reelected in 2014. Many of the contributions were made by foreign nationals and or utilized conduits in violation of federal law. In at least 2 cases, Fang used conduits to conceal herself as a prohibited foreign national source in violation of Title 52 U.S.C. Analysis of financial records demonstrated Fang orchestrated conduit campaign contributions to Swalwell's campaign at least twice in 2013, at least 2 more times in 2014. She stated she could arrange for an internship with Swalwell's office, but that internship would cost more money. Pay to play, right? So who buried it? Well, next up, the timeline of who had the file and when. FBI writes the case is predicated on information that internships in Swalwell's offices were promised in exchange for campaign contributions. This is the FBI's stated predication, an allegation, not a finding though. Congressman Swalwell, corruption of federal public officials, legislative branch, sensitive investigative matter. Predicated on information that the internships in Swalwell's office were promised in exchange for campaign contributions as part of the scheme to purchase internships. Campaign contributions were conduited through third parties to mask the true identity of the donor, in some cases made by foreign nationals. Sensitive investigative matter, subject of a sitting U.S. congressman. The above facts and circumstances indicate the subjects and others yet unknown may be involved in a conspiracy in violation of several U.S. codes. Assistant U.S. Attorney Blank agreed to prosecute the matter should sufficient evidence be developed. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Northern District of California was advised of the sensitive circumstances in the case prior to the opening and written notification on June 10th. Provided sufficient evidence be developed. Well, who was that sitting Attorney General at the time? And that's the paper trail. Now watch what Swalwell himself said about Fang Fang in the FBI briefing. Predicated on that information, Swalwell's offices were promised in exchange for campaign contributions allegedly conducted through third parties. So, and you got to read this fine print here. Okay, that's the same document. He calls himself a victim, apparently. The counterintelligence agents who worked the case tell a very different story. Legislative branch, sensitive investigative matter, the open LHM went to DOJ Public Integrity. To Jack Smith. Right? Jack Smith. Really? Look at it right there. Chief Jack Smith. We all know what Jack Smith was tasked with later, right? U.S. Congressman Eric Swalwell, corruption, federal public officials, legislative branch, sensitive investigative matter. My goodness, I can't believe we're looking at these documents. Dissemination, this serial in weekly package for DOJ Public Integrity section. Wow. This was all going on behind the scenes. All these years. Going back to, what, 2014. So this was even before President Trump was ever in office. And this guy sat on House Intelligence the entire time. An FBI electronic communication date 10/16/25 documents determination and post-operational critique of Group 1 Undercover Operation Freshman 15. Full investigation initiated 5/30/2014. Let's see if we can bring this up in maybe a little bit better for you. To notify the Public Corruption Unit and Criminal Covert Operations, termination of Group ICO Freshman 15 and its document post-operational critiques. They were granted interim authority on the Criminal Undercover Operations Review Committee. Undercover activity ceased on a certain date. A total of blank was spent during the UCO. So they don't list how much the investigation cost. Again, this is the declassified Freshman 15 operation into Eric Swalwell. Now, why would the White House suddenly just begin releasing this? Access to the nation's secrets while a Chinese agent worked his campaign. Kash Patel. FBI files new undercover operation lists 3 objectives. First, to obtain sufficient evidence to indict, arrest Swalwell and Fang for violations of campaign finance and quid pro quo exchanges. That's the objective, but not a finding, both listed as fully predicated subjects. So that is what they were aiming for. Fiscal circumstances, deposit funds exemption. 3 overall objectives: obtain sufficient evidence to indict and arrest, obtain sufficient evidence to indict and arrest any other identified co-conspirators on Swalwell and Fang, and seize forfeitable assets. There are 4 stipulations: review the evidence and information collected during the course of overarching investigation, and identify intel which is responsive to standing and local collection requirements. Where intelligence identified which is responsible to requirements, disseminate as appropriate via redacted. Seek separate approvals before conducting consensual monitoring involving sensitive circumstances. Man, this is what you are seeing here. This is the internal FBI investigation on a sitting congressman. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like this. As far as intelligence, no products have been produced. 2 subjects, Swalwell and Fang, both of whom are fully predicated. Wow. New FBI files, Undercover Op, Freshman 15. Post-op critique lists the objective to obtain that evidence. So looking deeper, the overall objective is to obtain the sufficient evidence to indict and arrest. Okay, the introduction. Oh, here we go. During the meeting with UCE and blank, Fang made statements that were corroborative of other evidence. This was used to obtain search warrants for Fang's residence, her person, and her iCloud account. So she actually had to be interviewed by the FBI. Fang privately disclosed to blank that her suspicion that UCE, however, Fang Fang suspected that she was under the investigation and that the undercover agent was in fact a government agent. So I mean, coming from the CCP, she could probably smell it a mile away. No further meetings occurred, and UCE's attempts to email correspondence with Fang were not returned. So she smelled it, she knew it was coming, and she ghosted the undercover operative. Subpoenas are one thing, prosecution another. Justice Department says, here's what they say about the statute of limitations. Investigation to date has not found violations of federal corruption statutes perpetuated by Swalwell. The Bureau retitled the case Christine Fang election law, saying it found campaign finance violations by Fang. DOJ's Richard Pliger concurred. So more on that here. Investigation to date not found violation. It was reclassified, resettled on February 18, 2017, pursuant to Section 23, the Public Corruption Unit, redacted policy implementation guide, blank, something SA, spoke with Richard Pliger within the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, who concurred with the retitling and reclassification of the matter. So case was closed. Time ran out. But of course, there's another route, and a member of Congress lays it all out. The retitling, investigation date not found violations, revealed violations of campaign finance statutes by Fang, case retitled Fang election laws. So they couldn't really find anything on Swalwell apparently, so they just retitled it, dropped Swalwell, and focused on Fang. So that was the initiation to change the title and classification that occurred in 5/30 of 2014. That's when it was initiated, pardon me. Okay. So that's the referral. Swalwell is still on committees, still cleared, still getting a paycheck. 5/24/17, Bureau writes investigation not reveal evidence of a quid pro quo exchange between Fang and the congressman or his office, but it did reveal evidence that Fang violated campaign finance laws. So they couldn't find the quid pro quo, but they did, in fact, discover the finance violations. Okay, so this case investigated whether Fang made illegal campaign contributions in exchange for internships with the official campaign office of a sitting U.S. congressman. While investigation did not reveal evidence of a quid pro quo exchange between Fang and the congressman or his office, it did reveal evidence that Fang violated criminal laws, prohibited contribution in the name of another in excess of statutory limits and from a foreign national, falsifying and destroying records, and false statements. Case closing. Here's a serial 175. FBI listed statutes under the investigation: false writing, bulk cash smuggling, acting as an unregistered foreign agent. No charges. The FBI writes Fang left the U.S., was barred from reentry, and SAC San Francisco has determined prosecution is non-viable due to national security reasons. So Fang left the United States, has been barred pursuant to security advisory opinions issued by the U.S. Department of State in consultation with San Francisco Division of Executive Management and U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District. SAC San Francisco determined prosecution non-viable due to national security reasons. Sufficient personnel and financial resources were expended on the investigation. All local and reasonable investigation was completed. All investigative method techniques and all set leads have been completed. All evidence has been returned, destroyed, or retained in accordance with evidence policy. So, page 79, it does something the headlines never do. It separates two people. No violations of federal corruption statutes by Swalwell. Campaign finance violations by Christine Fang. Two findings, two names. Then page 93, no evidence of a quid pro quo. And page 94 calls prosecution non-viable on national security grounds. Read it as written, not as you want it. So declassify the rest of it is what I say. Every page, unredacted. Let us read the answer next. To ask ourselves. That's the demand. Because the predication means is what they suspected. And not met means what they didn't get. And Washington has spent a decade counting on you never seeing those words sitting on just inches apart on paper. You've seen it. Now drop a comment with the page number that hit you the hardest and send this to a friend who only reads the headlines. And hit subscribe so the next file lands in front of you instead of getting buried. Paper beats narrative every single time, and paper is exactly what they keep locking up. You see, page 63 sat in a vault for 11 years. That's precisely the kind of thing we chase down for you. So text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House. Reports pulled straight from that building land on your phone nightly, including the material we hold. Now, reading is rung one. Rung two is having a post. Yes, text signal to that same number and listen to the Next News Signal Corps, and you climb as you work. Real ranks, real missions. In an operations hub the legacy press just can't touch.